Castle Dornstein. Bohemia, 1853. Ooh. Dear Master Hemlock, for 3 years I have searched for someone fluent in all forms of medieval Latin to translate one of the books in my collection, Deorum Historia Orbis Terrarum, or the History of the Gods of Earth. Given your literary knowledge, I assume you have heard of this mysterious and rare masterpiece. Some call it the Devil's Diary. I, however, am not a superstitious man. I hope to read and study it out of academic interest. The book was a family heirloom lost for generations. I have only just rediscovered its whereabouts 3 years ago. Since then, I have sought a potential translator. Mr. Borowski is an acquaintance of mine and has recommended you for the job. He speaks quite highly of your expertise in this area, and I would like to hire your services. I appreciate your help in advance with all my heart. Please accept my invitation to Castle Dornstein. We shall welcome you warmly as part of our humble family. Best regards, Fyodor Dornstein III. I was afraid that was going to scroll off the screen really fast before I could read it. At last, Castle Dornstein. It's a relief to finally be here. There hasn't been a storm this bad in months. It's only mid-afternoon, but the clouds make it feel like the night is already upon us. Ah, that must be one of Lord Dornstein's servants. Left-click to interact with an object, hotspot, or character. Right-click to look at an object, hotspot, or character. This is probably also EGS. That's the carriage I arrived in. But I like the controls much more when it's just like the 2-click look at or interact move type thing. Servant of the Dornsteins. Very kind of him to meet me out in the rain. Misread carriage as cringe. Ah. Master Eberhard, I presume? Yes, you may call me Hemlock if you like. Welcome to Castle Dornstein, Master Hemlock. My name is Severin. I hope your journey was not too tiring. Not too much. It was actually quite pleasant until the storm started. A nasty storm indeed. Please come inside. I will retrieve your luggage from the cringe shortly. Thank you, Severin. Ooh. Yeah, this looks awesome. This is the key to your room. It's just up these stairs at the end of the hall on your left. Thank you. I apologize that our more formal guest chambers are unavailable at the moment. They have not been used in some years and are in terrible disrepair. The chamber you shall be staying in is a modest one I use for my personal studies. Thank you. I'm sure it's lovely. If you require any personal comforts, I would be happy to oblige a special request. That won't be necessary. Sir, I pride myself on providing exemplary service beyond that which is merely necessary. You are a guest of Lord Fyodor Dornstein III. As long as you are residing in these castle walls, you are to be treated as though you were a Dornstein yourself. That's very kind. If I think of something, I won't hesitate to ask you. Very good, sir. When you're ready, Lord Dornstein has asked that I bring you to his office. He is eager to meet you in person. Excellent. I would like to meet him as well. Wonderful. Is there anything I can assist you with first? Oh boy. History of the castle. How long has this castle been here? The castle was first built in the mid-13th century in the Gothic style. At the time, it served as a respite for traders bringing luxury goods across Bohemia. Aristocrats assigned to protect the royal trade routes oversaw the castle. Those trade routes eventually moved further south, and the castle was no longer needed for such purposes. Lord Theodor Dornstein I acquired it in the early 15th century, and it has been the residence of the Dornstein family ever since. Structure is in remarkable shape considering its age. There was a devastating fire in the mid-17th century. The Dornstein family commissioned a renovation in the Baroque style, though much of the building has retained its Gothic character. It's quite stunning. Indeed, I may be biased in this opinion, but I find it to be one of the most elegant castles in the region. I've heard much about the Dornstein family. What can you tell me about them? The Dornsteins are one of the most eminent families in Bohemia, and they have been for many generations. Lord Theodor Dornstein I made his fortune trading silver, acquiring many properties and estates. These days, the family earns most of its income from agriculture. A wheat and barley farm has been quite a lucrative venture, although the family owns many other farms in the region. I see. Lord Dornstein's work has consumed nearly all of his time of late. I suspect this is part of the grieving process, but I do wish he would find more time for leisure. Grieving? Haven't you heard? Lady Sylvia, his wife, died only 6 months ago. This has been a traumatic year for the family. I'm so sorry to hear that. How did she die? The doctors diagnosed it with typhus fever, but it was unlike any case of typhus I've ever seen. She became ill quite suddenly, and the sickness spread swiftly. How horrible. Lady Waladka has taken it particularly hard. She was very close with her mother. Naturally. Perhaps your work on this book will help take Lord Dornstein's mind off his grief for a time. I must say, he has had a far more positive disposition since receiving your letter. Waladka. How long have you been working for the Dornsteins? Many years now. I was attending university when I met Lord Theodor's father, Lord Augustine Dornstein. Lord Theodor was just a young man at the time, though already quite successful. Lord Augustine hired me to tend to the castle grounds while the family traveled to Italy for the summer. He invited me to stay on through the winter, and I've been at Castle Dornstein ever since. I presume you enjoy your work then? The Dornsteins have always shown me kindness. They are like family to me. I attended Lord Theodor's wedding to Lady Sylvia, and I helped care for their daughter when she was only a child. I can hardly believe my eyes when I see the beautiful young woman she has become. Ask about dinner. Is it possible to get something to eat? Of course. You must be hungry after your journey. Dinner will be served shortly in the dining room. Do you enjoy roasted duck? Certainly. Wonderful. I will see that your luggage is brought to your room, but first, Lord Theodor is expecting you in his office. He's quite eager to see you. Thank you, Severin. I'll see him now. His office is on the first floor on the left. Here, allow me to take your coat. Thank you. All right. Oh, wow. Here we are. I don't want to bother him right now. He's already done more than enough for me. When they say first floor, do they mean this first floor? Can I examine these paintings? The plate says Gottfried Ferdinand Dornstein I, 1597. Plate says Magdalena Lucretia Kunz, wife of Gottfried Ferdinand Dornstein I, 1602. Ah, yes, I've seen this crest before. Purple grapes on the vine. If the Dornsteins are from northern Bohemia, I wonder how they acquired a South Moravian symbol. I'd like to ask Lord Theodor about that. A ship lost at sea in the middle of a storm. Reminds me of the seafaring adventures I read as a boy. Beware the calm of the dark storm's eye. Leagues beneath a terror lies. When rain clouds blow the ship due east, That's when Kraken likes to feast. I used to love those stories. This is really cool. This is the door to Lord Fyodor's office. Alright. What is Lord Fyodor gonna sound like? Good evening. Welcome to Castle Dornstein. What a pleasure to finally meet you. Good evening, my lord. I must thank you 1,000-fold for this opportunity to... Oh, Hemlock, my friend. No need for such formalities. Call me Fyodor. Please sit. Make yourself comfortable. Though we have only spoken through letters, I feel a kinship between us. We are very similar, you and I. We are. Yes, we are both lovers of the written word. We are academics. What some would call a dusty old manuscript fills us with shivers of excitement. We crave knowledge. Curiosity is, in great and generous minds, the first passion and the last. My son, you quote Samuel Johnson. We are cut from the same cloth indeed. How refreshing to speak with a well-read man. We have much to discuss. Man. I like the voice acting, but there's a lot to read. Please, sir, tell me more about yourself. I'm afraid my life is quite dull. Nothing to interest a young man such as yourself. I own acres of farmland, but they are tended to by others. I spend my days managing my investments and my evenings reading. Since my wife's passing, my work and my books are the only thing that have kept me sane. Ladka, my daughter, locks herself in her room most of the day. She wants little to do with me. Women at her age are impossible to speak to, and so I remain alone in my office. I would trade everything I have to be a young man in Prague again. Such a beautiful city. You're not so old. Why don't you move to Prague? Young man, if only you knew how the politics of a family name worked. Nobles may be rich, but they are never truly free. We are tethered to our heirlooms and properties. Such are the trappings of heritage. Ah, but listen to me, an old man complaining about his life of luxury. I only wish I could escape the stone walls of this castle more often. The castle is quite impressive. How long has your family owned it? This castle's been home to the Dornstein family since the 15th century. My ancestors were amongst the wealthiest families in Central Europe. I'm not sure that we hold that distinction anymore, but we certainly manage, I believe. The castle's masonry has undergone reconstruction 5 times since then. The last changes were made 100 years ago. We gave it a dash of the Renaissance flair, and it's been that way ever since. The furniture and decor are far more current. For that I have my late wife to thank. Your daughter, Lady Ladka, she lives in the castle as well? She does. I couldn't wish for a more beautiful or intelligent daughter. Though I wish she were more focused on her studies. She reads nothing but foolish romances and fantasies all day. But such stories uplift the soul, sir. I would never forbid anyone to read that which they enjoy. I do not forbid anything. I only wish that you would spend more time in the real world rather than escaping to imaginary ones. It is a question of balance. Please accept my condolences, sir. I'm sorry for what happened to Lady Sylvia. We all are. Thank you, Hemlock. It is exceedingly difficult to lose someone you love so deeply. We were married for more than 30 years. When you're married that long, your souls become entwined, and the pain of tearing them apart is unspeakable. Have you ever been in love, young man? Once, I think. Her name was Zeneska. We were but 13 when we met. I'm not sure if that counts. Everything counts. Love does not consider age. Romeo and Juliet were but 13 themselves. A well-read man could hardly name a couple more in love. With all due respect, sir, that is only a story, and a tragic one at that. Yes, I suppose Shakespeare understood well the ways in which joy and tragedy intermingle in our lives. So you're a lover of books. What have you been reading lately? Recently, my mind has been drawn towards the sciences. I'm reading a most excellent study on the history of astronomy. I shall lend it to you once I'm finished. How about you? What do you like to read? That depends. I certainly enjoy a good horror story, and I've always liked to revisit the classics. Recently, though, much of my time has been consumed with linguistics. Yes, a little bit of everything. That's the spirit, young man. Still, you must have a favorite. I believe a man's preferences define his character. If I had to choose, the works of Milton are incomparable. I've read him more than anyone. Milton, of course. A poet and a scholar. I understand you now. A man must tend not only to his mind, but to his soul as well. Very good. Grigorovit's book. I must say, I was shocked to hear you have Diorum Historia in your collection. I thought the book was merely a legend. I assure you it's quite real. I've heard campfire tales about the monk Grigorovitz and how his meetings with the devil drove him to madness. Yes, the devil possessed his heart and used his hands to write the devil's diary. Am I recalling it correctly? Precisely. Nothing more than a campfire story, as you say, though the real Grigorovitz did go insane. After a lifetime serving God, something broke in his mind, and he became obsessed with the occult. He set his mad ravings down on paper, and that's how Diorum Historia Orbis Terrarum came about. Many of his ideas about satanic rituals and evil curses still inform our modern folklore. Fascinating. I'm flattered you chose me to translate the book. I'm eager for you to get your hands on it. You may be the only man within 1,000 kilometers who knows as many forms of medieval Latin as you do. Yes, learning dead languages has become something of an obsession for me. Your obsession is about to pay off. For the life of me, I cannot determine the dialect Grigorovitz used when writing the book. And if it is to be the only translation of Diorum Historia, it must be precise. I will not accept anything but a perfect translation of the original text. I'm sure I can be of assistance. Excellent. I noticed the Dornstein family crest hanging in the castle hall. Purple grapes on the vine. That's a South Moravian symbol, is it not? Indeed it is. You have quite the eye for detail, Hemlock. My classmates used to always ask me to proofread their essays for mistakes. Nothing gets past me. Very good. One of my ancestors owned a vineyard in Moravia. He was a renowned winemaker. Tell me, do you enjoy wine? Certainly. Then we shall have to enjoy a bottle together before you leave. Thank you, sir. I would like that very much. I know I speak for everyone when I say we're quite happy to have you here, Hemlock. Thank you, sir. Anything you need, anything at all, please let Severin know. Dinner will be served shortly. Very good, sir. Can I look at stuff? From what I can see, the cabinet holds contracts, financial records, and some books relating to business. Cabinet has various works of classic prose and poetry, probably some of Lord Fyodor's personal favorites. Dwell not on the rain cloud's gloom. That's what makes the flowers bloom. Tomorrow should be a better day. Lord Fyodor Dornstein III. It's an honor to finally meet him. He's got a dead plant. All right. I think I'd like to see my personal chamber now. Besides, I want my diary in case I need to write down any notes. This leads to the dining room. I really like how this game looks. Hemlock's chamber. This is my personal chamber. It's locked. He didn't give me a key or something, did he? He did. Wow, this is as nice as the finest hotel in Prague. I'll take my diary with me in case I need to write any notes. My personal journal. I need to remember something, I write it in here. This bed looks quite comfortable. Castle's cold enough, I don't want to open a window. On a clear day, I imagine this window gives a lovely view of the gardens. Poetry. To read or not to read? That is not the question, because we all know the answer is most certainly to read. A fine collection of recreational reading. Pierce Severin likes to keep his collection to himself and doesn't share it with the public library. I don't blame him. A painting of a dog. There's something sad about it, though. A guest here, not a thief. I don't need to use the wardrobe. Everything I have fits nicely into my luggage. It's a huge wardrobe. I bet I could fit all of my belongings from home in there, except my books, of course. Anything else in here? Let us save. Let us save. I like just the silence of the rain and his little feet slapping against the ground. That's a great detail. Ah, here we are. Who's this? Shoot, what does this guy sound like? Sir Hemlock, welcome. Sorry I'm late. Nonsense, my friend, you're right on time. Come join us. I prepared this feast especially for your arrival. It looks delicious. Did you cook all this? Only the roasted duck and radishes, a variation on a family recipe. The cabbage and potatoes I leave to Anna. There's no competing with her there. Hello, dear. Pleasure to meet you. If you need anything at all during your stay, just shout my name and I'll come running. Thank you, Anna. Dinner smells wonderful. Thank you, but we do ask that you reserve your praise until you've tasted the meal. Ah, fair enough. Did you find your personal chamber? Is everything to your liking? I did. It's perfect. I hope you'll forgive the castle's current state of disrepair. Compared to other castles in the region, ours is positively crumbling. I think the castle's marvelous. Ah, you're just being polite. I just haven't had the money of late for proper reconstruction. Though if you ask the villagers in Krakenov, they'll say the castle looks the way it does because it's haunted by ghouls or other some nonsense. Pay no attention to that. The masonry is centuries old and... Please, Father, I don't think our guest wants to discuss architecture when there's a hot meal getting cold on the table. Of course. And pardon my manners, I've not introduced you to my daughter, Lady Wolodka, shrewd and candid as ever. I am honored, my lady. The honor is mine. My father has told me much about you. Indeed I have. Shoot, I already forgot what she sounds like. Please eat, Hemlock. You must be hungry. You can't do women's voices. Yes, how rude of us. We started dinner without you. Forgive us. We're not accustomed to having guests in the castle. Perhaps we should say a prayer for this fine meal. Yes, an excellent idea. Wait, where's Joseph? We should wait for him. Please, Father, if we wait for him, it could be morning before we eat. Vodka. He's just come inside from the rain. He'll join us shortly. Very well. Lord, we thank you for the meal before us and for all the warm comforts we enjoy on this cold evening. We also thank you for the safe arrival of our guest, Sir Hemlock, who traveled far to be with us here tonight. Amen. Here he is. Join us, my boy. We have quite the feast here. Thank you, sir. I apologize for my tardiness. It's fine. We started without you. The fire feels nice. I got soaked out there tending to the horses. Quite a storm. He just looks bored. He declined the wine. Joseph, this is Sir Hemlock. An honor to meet you, sir. Joseph is our gardener, and a fine one at that. He's nearly as talented with seed and soil as you are with written word. I only try to live up to my father's work. Joseph's father worked for us for many years. We were terribly sad to lose him, but Joseph has filled in admirably. I haven't had a chance to see the full grounds yet, but I look forward to doing so tomorrow. Yes, of course, it's beautiful. But tonight you must see the library. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on Grigorovic's book. Here, before I forget. This key opens the cabinet above the fireplace. You'll find the Diorum Historia there. It's a large volume with a red binding. You can't miss it. Excellent. I appreciate your trust. I'm eager to see the book. And I'm eager to see your translation. And I'm rather eager to eat. I hope the two of you will find some time to enjoy dinner tonight. Ha! Of course, dear. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Please, Hemlock, eat. Excuse me, Master Hemlock, may I speak with you? Yes, my lady. You said you're an expert in Latin, correct? I think so, yes. I wonder if you could do me a favor. My mother had a locked chest where she kept her most private belongings. Since her death, I've not been able to open it. I'm sorry, I'm no locksmith. This is no normal lock. It requires a password. There's some sort of riddle written in Latin on the chest. For the life of me, I can't solve it. How odd. I could certainly take a look. Would you? That would be wonderful. I have so few personal mementos from her. I would love to know what she kept in that chest. Where can I find it? In the library, beside the clock. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I'll see what I can do. Lady Wladka Dornstein. A young woman like her must be very lonely in this castle. Lady... I'm trying to say Lady Wladka. Lady Wladka. Do you have a moment? Of course. Oh my gosh. Tell me, how does a noble lady occupy her days? I spend most of my day reading in the garden. You wouldn't know it now, but the flowers are stunning, especially in the springtime. There are days I'm out there every minute from sunrise to sunset. My father says you live in Prague? That's correct. I could never live in a big city. I've only been to Prague once, but I found it suffocating being surrounded by so many people. And everywhere you look, garbage and stray dogs. Oh, it's not as bad as all that. The city is vibrant and alive. I love walking through Wenceslas Square and getting lost in the crowd. It's a feeling I cannot find anywhere else. To each their own, I suppose. I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine your heartbreak. Anna used to say we were more like sisters than mother and daughter. I lost half my heart when I lost her. That is why I must know what is in that chest. I will open it for you, I promise. Do you like living in the castle? I've lived here my entire life. It's all I know. Forgive me for saying so, but this place is rather eerie. Oh, yes, you're hardly the first to say so. Most newcomers feel this way when they first arrive. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you or your family. I'm not offended at all. These walls have seen centuries of history. It is natural to feel the spirits of the past moving alongside us. I'm honored someone such as your father would invite me here. Are you? Why is that? Your family is very rich? Well, that's what you mean to say, isn't it? The word I was searching for is important. Tell me, Mr. Hemlock, do you know anyone important who is not also rich? We are no more important than anyone else. We are simply famous because we have money. I believe there are more important things in life than wealth. You're right about that, my lady. Do you know anything about the book I'm supposed to translate? Not really. It's a medieval book written by some unholy monk who went mad. The solitary life must have driven him insane. The book was a family heirloom for generations, but was lost a century ago. Father nearly went mad himself when his servants finally found it. Where was it? Catholic monks in southern Bohemia had it in their library. I've no idea how it got there. I'm not interested in the junk my father pursues. What junk? The old artifacts, ancient heirlooms, and dusty old manuscripts. Men of his stature tend to collect such items. Do you do that? No, but it is only because I can't afford it. I find forgotten art and literature thrilling. I could lose myself in an old library for days. Don't get too lost. A man can become so consumed by the past that he forgets to live in the present. Tell me more about Kirkenov, the village downhill from here. It's not what it once was. There was a time when everyone who passed through this part of the country stopped in Kirkenov. You could meet all sorts of fascinating people, men of commerce, noblemen, artists. Now you find only poor villagers, half of them drunkards and thieves. I wouldn't trust any of them. You say you enjoy books. Are you reading anything good at the moment? I've been reading a book of old Bohemian legends, nothing that would interest a scholar from Prague. Nonsense, I love old legends. They've always fascinated me. Really? Do you know the legend of Vodnik? That is my favorite. Why, of course, Vodnik, the demon that lives underwater, who drowns swimmers and fishermen and steals their souls? Yes, yes. When I was a little girl, Anna used to tell me there was a Vodnik living in the Kirkenov pond. Oh, how I cried when my father taught me to swim. I kept yelling, "No, Vodnik will take our souls." After that, my father forbade her from telling me any more scary stories, but I still begged her to tell them. She's a wonderful storyteller. I enjoy a good horror story now and again. This castle is a fine place to immerse yourself in a macabre story. I'm sure you'll find something that suits your taste in the library. I'll leave you be now. If you need anything at all, please let me know. Thank you for your hospitality. Dornsteins must be accustomed to hosting a lot of guests at once. I don't think they've had many visitors recently, though. That's Anna, the Dornstein's maid. There are various pictures on the mantelpiece. Most of them are deceased relatives of the Dornstein family. In the middle is a painting of the castle. It looked old and eerie even back then. 3 beautiful deer slaughtered for the sport of noblemen. I hope they at least enjoyed a good venison dinner afterwards. Prague safety matches since 1802. These may be useful if I need to light something. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like a burning fire upon the top of the mount. Exodus 24-17. Why that verse came to mind, I cannot say. This would make for good firewood. Wood log. Can't sit down and eat all day. I've got things to do. We better talk to Anna. Don't want to bother her right now. Okay. So I think I want to go to the library, right? I don't want to go poking around Lord Fyodor's office without his permission. I think that's what is probably down here. I'm pretty impressed with all the like different animations they have. The characters. A beautiful sculpture of a deer. I imagine the local woods have many deer. I don't want to bother him right now. He's already done more than enough for me. The room is dark. I can't see anything. If only I had a match. Now I can start a fire. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. I assume that's the book. But I also wanted to look at this. This must be the chest that belonged to Lady Sylvia. Wonder if Severin knows anything about this. He seems to know everything in this castle. The chest looks quite old. Lady Sylvia must have had it a long time. It's in excellent condition, though. Mos Maiorum. Latin for customs of our ancestors. That must be a clue to the password. Huh. What if the answer is probably also Latin? Hopeless. Impressive woodwork. If I wasn't a librarian, I would like to be a carpenter. It is truly an art. History books about every era. There are texts on ancient Greece, Roman history, medieval Europe, and even more recent history, such as Queen Victoria's reign. There are endless books and chronicles here. Some are even dated from the reign of Charles IV. These must be priceless pieces. I think I could read from dusk till dawn every day for a month and still not finish them all. They're in marvelous condition, too. I don't need to get the Diorum Historia just yet. Lady Holadka is waiting for me. History books about every era. There are texts on ancient Greece, Roman history, medieval Europe, and even more recent history, such as Queen Victoria's reign. I just read that. Maybe we gotta talk to Severin, like our guy Hemlock suggested. To learn more. My man Severin. What can you tell me about Lady Sylvia's family? Varnhagen is her maiden name, a noble family from the region. If you're interested in learning more, I have a book on the noble Bohemian families in my personal collection. There are a few pages on the Varhagens in there. You'll find it in your room. Thank you. I'll take a look. The rat. We're the rats. So there's a book. Here's the book that Severin told me about. Perhaps I should look at each word closely. The Varnhagen family. Most of the purebred horses died. I can click on certain stuff. The noble family of Bavarian descent lives in their chateau in Pardubice. Of course, Pardubice is famous for its horse races, where they bred one of the fastest raving horses in Europe, Equus ferus arabicus, wild horse of Arabia. Lord Horace Roland of Varnhagen, 1685 to 1755, was the first of his family to succeed in breeding pure-blooded horses that lived longer than the previous generation of racing horses. These horses were known for their speed, agility, and stamina. He was well known for his unconditional love toward his steeds, often referring to them as my children. The Varnhagen family continued this tradition of breeding purebred Arabian horses until 1769, 14 years after Lord Horace's death. In 1769, a strange malady afflicted all the horses in the Varnhagen stables. Most of the purebred horses died. What a terrible loss for the family. Perhaps it was good that Lord Horace was not alive to see his children die out. Without any mares to breed with, the purebred family died out. With them died the family tradition of horse breeding, as there was no one who understood equestrian breeding enough to begin the process anew. In 1770, the Varnhagen stables and Pardubice were sold to the Johannes family. Wow, the Johannes family is one of the richest in Austria. I'm not surprised they could afford such a stable. Who are the owners to this day? So the answer to the riddle is perhaps horse. Le horse. Sir Horace's horses. I appreciate that I can just barely see the door enough to click on it and let him just auto walk there. A horse, of course. Horse. That doesn't work, but I think I'm on the right track. Huh. It's not horse. Customs of our ancestors. And it's not horse. Huh. Wurzel. You're really gonna make me walk back up there? Okay. It's not horse. You don't have... Oh, nothing else to say. It's a 5-letter word. Equus? Equus? Equus ferus aravicus. That's gotta be what it is, right? One of those. As in equine. Very cheeky of them. But I suppose it makes sense that the... wish I could double click and teleport. Especially if I've been in there before. But the question is in Latin, so it makes sense that the answer should be... Equus? Of course, the Von Hagen family was known for their horse breeding, so Sylvia made her password Equus, which is Latin for horse. The chest Let's try that again. The chest mostly contains old, dusty documents. But what's this? A small green journal. This must be Lady Sylvia's diary. I'm sure Lady Volodka would be happy to have it. I'll take it to her now. We go. I have some good news. I was able to open the chest. You were? That's wonderful. Password was Equus. It's Latin for horse. Yes, that makes sense. My mother loved horseback riding. She learned to ride when she was a young girl. Her family always had horses. I found this in the chest. I thought you might want it. My mother's diary. Oh, Master Hemlock, thank you very much. You have no idea how much this means to me. I intend to read it at once. I hope it brings you comfort. All right. Now do we go down and recover the book? Or the book? Kind of wondering if is her name supposed to be Vladka? Lady Vladka? I don't know. I can't push the ladder. Now I can reach the cabinet. Here we are. One step at a time. Finally, I can see the book. This isn't the book I'm looking for. This is Historia Bohemiae. Wait a minute, look here. There's a water stain on the cabinet. Someone was here recently. Someone has stolen Diorum Historia. Perhaps it was never here at all. I must tell Lord Theodore at once. He was skipping that without me pushing anything. To be continued. Cool. Castle Dornstein. Digital Mosaic Games. Oh yeah, Twitter was screwing up for me earlier. Oh yeah, these are the guys that made Metaphobia. Which was a free, pretty good game from what I remember. Other than one puzzle I thought was a little wacky. But I was able to look up the answer or whatever. This game is coming soon. Looks very cool though. That was cool. I like that. Solve puzzles and search for clues. Castle Dornstein. Yeah, that'll remain on the wish list. Neat.